It finally happened. Jagex decided to pretty much remove PvP with the new Wilderness Reborn update that's coming in August. But is it the right decision for the game? Or is there more to it? Let's talk about it. Yo, what's going on guys? My name's Valeric and today we're going to be talking about the Wilderness Reborn or the Wilderness Rework, whatever you want to call it. And if it's a good thing for Runescape or if they missed the mark, because they're really singling out a part of the community by having opt-in PvP. Let's be real, only the people that really want to PK and fight PKers will use the opt-in, and everyone else will just never use it unless there's some real benefit from it, like, I don't know, a 5 times XP increase or like a 10 times drop rate increase. But I don't see that happening at all. So let's be real, only PvPers will actually use it to fight other PvPers, which I think is really good, but it also takes away a part from what the wilderness always has been and, well, was, and that's probably the keyword, is hunting people that are there, skilling, PVMing, or whatever you're doing in the wilderness, whether that's clue scrolls or whatever. But I don't know, it has died, and that's why I made that video a little while ago. We'll get into that in just a second, but if you're going to enjoy this video, definitely go give it a like. Join in the discussion in the comment section down below, and subscribe if you're new. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys all so much for that support. But let's get into this video, because if you didn't see it, you don't have to watch it, because it's not like well, technically it's a follow-up video, but it isn't a follow-up video, if that makes any sense. To my PvPing is griefing, or play healing, or whatever I called it, is griefing in RuneScape 3, and I still stand by that. Like, I still stand by that, but I do want to give some nuance to it. I thought it was, like, completely dead in this game, but it actually isn't. Like, I've got quite a few people just messaging me after the video, and I love that, by the way. I'm not trying to dismiss anything about that, but, like, I love it. They message me and show me, hey, dude, you're wrong about this, and it's not that dead. I mean, it still is dead, but it isn't as dead as I thought it'd be, if that makes any sense. I literally thought that no one was making any money at all. Like, pretty much like the oddball, you know, PK that makes a lot of money, but he had quite a lot of loots, and that is awesome, bro. Like, shout out to you. Like, seriously, if you're watching this video, shout out to you. That's awesome. And I understand that those people that genuinely PK in this game are upset with the Wilderness Reborn update, because it is going to remove PvP. If you don't know what the Wilderness Reborn is, they're going to rework the wilderness, so there's opt-in PvP, which means that you need to toggle a setting or toggle something or talk to an NPC. Pretty much, you need to toggle something to be able to be PK'd, but also to PK. So you cannot attack other people, also not by accident, and, you know, people cannot attack you, and pretty much the wilderness will just become like any other area in RuneScape. And to be honest, at that point, just make opt-in PvP for everywhere, like how it is in other games that have a similar system going on, but maybe they'll do that in the future. I don't know, but what I'm trying to say is also that would make for a really good video. That would make for such a good video. Serious idea. Like, oh, I turn on opt-in PvP and try to become maxed or something, or hardcore Iron Man. Great video. So if you're watching this and you're an aspiring YouTuber, if that ever happens, make that video, because I'm not gonna do it. But anyway, back on topic. I think this will generally take out PvP for forever. Like, PvP will just be dead and there's nothing to it. And you could say, okay, well, PvP has always been, like, I've seen that, like, bro, the thing that pisses me off the most, right? Look, if you play old school RuneScape, of course you're allowed to have an opinion on RuneScape 3, but listen, at the same time, you're not really entitled to speak on it. It's the same as, like, I would be speaking on high-end PVM stuff in old school RuneScape, or even in RuneScape 3 for that matter. I am not qualified to do so because I don't participate in that content and I don't know about it. I thought it was very weird that old school RuneScape PKers and people that are involved with old school RuneScape were speaking about how RuneScape 3 pretty much removing PvP from the wilderness is a bad thing, and it's, you know, only showing that the game is going downwards and blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro, you don't even play the game, bruv. You don't even know what's going on in this game. You don't know that, like, the wilderness, if you go in it right now in the current state where PvP is still available, you don't feel that fear. A, because you're either wearing nothing. B, because you're wearing untradables, and untradables here are very powerful. Or C, you just know how to use your abilities, and any PvPer you can just escape quite easily, unless they're really good, or you get into multi with a team, but they barely do not exist, and most worlds are dead in the wilderness anyway, just as the content that's in there. So It's not scary at all. If I log into old school RuneScape right now on any world, I feel fear. I feel scared when I enter the wilderness with whatever gear, even if I'm just clue hunting with just a spade and my clue box and my clue scroll and my DDS. I still feel fear to go in there because I don't want to be PvP'd. And that's exactly what the wilderness should be, and that's not what it has been in RuneScape for years and years and years. It's just not there. It's something from the past, and people need to move on. And people from old school RuneScape speaking out about it, sure, dude, look, you can talk about it, but at the same time, I don't think you're entitled to do so because you don't know where this game is going, and you don't know what it's like pretty much holding this game back for. Because the wilderness, and that's kind of why I think they did the whole rework, and they talked about it, of course, is a very big part of RuneScape. Literally, as in like a big part of the map, but also when it comes to lore. There's a lot of lore in RuneScape that has to do with the wilderness. But let's be honest, you're not going into the wilderness to find out lore because you can possibly get PK'd and you cannot be asked to do so. And I know that sounds a bit hypocritical about what I was saying, and there's probably someone who's going to be pointing out like, oh well, you were just saying it was dead, but also the people will not enter because they fear to be PvP'd, so it's not dead. Is it now? Well, yes and no, but it's just the mindset of it, if that makes any sense. There is a chance of danger, which isn't really there, but that makes it so people will just not enter the area at all, which makes it dead. It's like a vicious circle, so to say. But lore-wise, the wilderness has been in quite a few quests, and it has always been an instant area because they knew that people would not do those quests and interact with that content if it wasn't for an instance area where you couldn't get PK'd. And you could argue, oh hey, yes, sure, you could just add that fear in, and you would have revitalized PK, but no, people would just grief. Let's be honest. People would just grief, and it would just be awful, and people will just less interact with that content at all. And with the new Zamorak boss obviously being tied to the wilderness as well, I don't know how that's going to work just yet. I know that the quest is going to be in the wilderness. It is the perfect place, and obviously Zamorak has ties to the wilderness as well, so it would be perfect fitting in. And yet again, people would just not interact with it if it was the old wilderness. And I think they kind of came to that realization is we have this big piece of land, we have this big piece of lore that's behind it, and we could do so much with everything that has to do with the wilderness, but the PKing or the possibility of being PK'd is holding us back because less people interact with it because they just don't want to, you know, engage with that dangerous activity unless it adds in something so powerful when it comes to moneymakers or weapons or whatever that people kind of have to go in there. But then again, if they do something like that, they have to add something ridiculous to the wilderness, and I don't think that's right. I think that's one of the most poor designs that old school RuneScape has done as well, with like locking, for example, the dragon pickaxe, a skilling item behind the wilderness. That is just bad content design. I'm sorry. I've played old school RuneScape, as you guys know, so I think I can speak on it, and I've killed most of the wilderness bosses, and I like them, and I like the danger of it, but I understand that a skilling item should not come from the wilderness. It just doesn't make sense at all in all concepts of the game, at least in my personal opinion. And I think what they're going to be doing with the wilderness, with adding in the Slayer mobs, and that's kind of my critique on it as well, because I love it. See, I love what they're going to be doing with the Wilderness Reborn, adding in the lore, using the area that is so big and so fast and has so much lore, and updating it visually, and just, you know, finally utilizing it pretty much for quest, monsters. Maybe we'll get future bosses there and other interesting content. And they even said like, oh, there might be a system like the current demonic skull system where you might have opt-in PvP available, but you get more XP or more loot or whatever. And I think that's a good thing to a certain extent, but at the same time I don't, because it doesn't work now. Why would it work in a new wilderness, right? But pretty much they're gonna add a load of Slayer creatures, all multi, in wilderness, pretty much making the wilderness the best in slot Slayer training place, which I think is great. But the thing is that it will do is the volcano that's in the middle will also shoot things at you, including mobs and spawn mobs, making it more dangerous the longer you stay in the wilderness and making it more difficult to survive. Everything is aggro, and as I said, everything is multi, so the wilderness will actually be a dangerous place to walk through, which I think is a good place, because I think what defines the wilderness is danger and not necessarily PKers, because the danger came from the PKers, but the thing is what made the wilderness scary was the danger that came from the PKers, if that makes any sense. And I like the fact that they add the danger part to it, but what I do not like is the random Slayer creature spawn idea. Look, if I'm doing an Abyssal Demon task, I don't want to suddenly have Ripper Demons or Nightmare Creatures or anything that's like really powerful and has like special attacks coming at me, because that would just kind of just ruin the vibe there. And it doesn't really add difficulty, at least not in my opinion. It will just add annoyance, because people just teleport out and teleport back, and that's it. That's probably how you solve it. And I don't think that is good. I think that will literally be dead content on release, because, well, not the wilderness, but like that concept of the wilderness. Because, as I said, it will just be annoying if other creatures spawn, as I said, that have special attacks. What I think they should have done is, the longer you stay in the wilderness, the more of those superior variants are spawning from the creature. So, for example, the Abyssal Demon has a superior Abyssal Demon variant, which hits slightly harder. It doesn't really do much. But I think if you have a whole group of those superiors on you, I don't think you'll be surviving. At least, I don't know how you would do so, because, you know, when I'm soul splitting AFKing Abyssal Demons, I mean, obviously I'm at Abyssal Lords and Beasts and whatever now, but when I was doing Abyssal Demons, that big one, like, slightly, like, if I was at 99 health, I would be at, like, 80 health after the fight with him, and there's some, like, the Dark Beasts that are a little bit stronger, but they hit a little bit harder than normal creatures. If you have an entire group of those spawn at some point, I don't think you will last, and I think you will achieve the exact same thing as with spawning the random monsters, but just with the monster in question, and it might add some actual reward to it as well, because you don't really need to rewrite the entire loot table. And I know there's going to be a new Slayer Master system with a new weapon and new loot and whatever, which is sick. I love that. But at the same time, if you just have the superiors that spawn, that hit harder, you will solve the issue, bro. I think you generally will solve the issue with the random monsters, because you can go back to the video when this comes out and tell me about all the controversial things that are being said about the random creature spawning when you're doing Slayer and it just being annoying, and that they're gonna change it. I'm calling it right now, as of the 30th of June. I know this video will come out on the 2nd of July, but still, of the 30th of June, I'm calling it. This will happen. Anyway, let me know in the comment section down below what you think. I just thought I would give my thoughts and kind of a follow-up video of my first PvP video, and just talk about it a little bit. I know it might be a bit of a ranty, rambly, all over the place video, but yeah, I just missed doing one of these videos, and I thought this is a very good topic to talk about. So yeah, generally, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this. Leave a like as well. Subscribe if you're new. And my name's Velric, and I'll see you guys. Why do I get hiccups at the end of the video? No! In my next video. Bye-bye.